Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so AD and Bron are going to miss tonight's game versus the Celtics. Y'all may want to know what I think about that. I mean, it's like this, man. When the team is struggling like we are, guys don't really want to make the type of sacrifices on their bodies if they're not 100%. I mean, you may wonder what the point is. When guys aren't doing what it is that you want to see them do in the front office. Or want to put pressure on them to do the things that you may think they may be dragging their feet on. It's a lot of speculation that could have led to why they may not be available. Least of all, the fact that they could actually have an injury. That's like the last thing on anybody's mind. But as I told y'all before, this is a time-sensitive situation. Okay, this is a win-now team that doesn't have the ability to win right now. You got a coach in place that nobody believes in, and the owner is just giving that man a guarantee that his job won't be taken from him. These are the type of things that make people not want to play in big games to send a message. And I think that's what I'm taking. Both Bron and AD are protesting this game. It's one of the biggest games of the year, the road game against the Celtics. I'm certain one of them could play. But not if you're trying to push the understanding of how unhappy that you are about what it is that's taking place here, about how the team looks, about how moves have yet to be made, about just the overall process. I think it's very clear that the NBA would love for LeBron and AD to play in this game, and I think it's very clear that they know that. Sure, Jeanie Buss would love for them to play in this game. This is one of the most important games of the year. This is your signature play against the Celtics game, and you're missing both of your stars. I mean, that's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I think guys could be a little fatigued, but not to the point where they ain't going to get up for the Celtics. They would get up for the Celtics if they were playing for the Knicks. You understand what I'm saying? So this is about the specifics of the Lakers, if you ask me, about how things are going, about how people are unhappy about it, and about what they're willing to do and say in order to make things better. I support them. I support the players in this situation, man. I do. If the timeline wasn't as it is, and we didn't already commit to said timeline, then I would be frustrated. Because it's like, okay, if you can go, go. But given the fact that it does look like people are dragging their feet on things that can make this team better, as frustrated as I've been as a player, I don't know that I'd do anything different. As a friend, whether, if I were a player, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know that I would do anything different. I'm very frustrated. I want to see changes, big ones. And I know it's not as simple as 1, 2, 3 when you consider the market. But I find myself talking about this game as it pertains to not believing in what the coach is going to do. We can do something about that. And I just think people are afraid too because of what it looks like if they do, or if they have to replace him, do they believe in who they're replacing him with, and all these different things that don't leave you with a better taste in your mouth about what we're going to be seeing tonight, whether the Stars are playing or not. And that's the bottom line, man. I don't think we win either way, the way this team has been looking lately. So, I'm frustrated. Bron's frustrated. AD is showing frustration. Guys are sick of putting their bodies on the line for a timeline that doesn't fit them when they're as great as these two are. They're too great for this crap. Straight up. And I think the best thing for the Lakers to do is either bring them what they want in a coach, if you got an interim coach that they have an idea about, or somebody, if they want the keys given to Coach Handy, then you do that. Why? Because you're putting the onus back on them to perform. At the end of the day, I think that might be the best way forward. If you value your superstars the way you say you do, then you give them what they want in this situation, specifically these two, so that you can put it back on them. And if the team fails, it's your fault. But as long as you're leaving a coach in there that nobody believes in, players aren't feeling like it's in their control what happens. And play their best. And on a given night, they're going to lose because of his choices. On a given night, they're going to lose because the team ain't that great. And those type of things really matter. So I think you either do that or you trade the Stars. You know what I'm saying? You trade the Stars so that you can put the onus back on the timeline that fits what it is that you prefer, which is the coach, to stay in place as a second year guy with a bunch of young talent or a rebuilding process that will allow him 4 or 5 years to get his act together and allow those players that you're going to bring in to formulate into whatever it is that you hope they would become. You're trying to play the lines of two, you're walking the fine line of two timelines, and your responsibility is not to do that if you're the Lakers. I know it was hard enough getting these superstars here, but again, it's hard to get them here, but it's also hard to watch them do this. It's hard to watch them leave without any recoup. And so it just seems like people are not really, dare I say, fit to run this thing right now. That's what it looks like from afar. It seems like Jeanie ain't really trying to be an owner like usual. Seems like our GM is probably doing the best he can from behind the scenes, but like Jeanie has to step up and do the same thing she did with Jim Buss in regards to making these difficult decisions, as we've been talking about over and over again for the last 48 hours. And if you're not up for doing what Bron wants, then get Bron gone. You know, reset your situation, keep Darvin Ham, keep Austin Reeves, you know what I mean? And go forward with a bunch of people on that timeline. And there's a way to do that. You just make sure you get your best return for AD and Bron. And don't worry about not having stars, because you're the Lakers. You can get stars if that's what it comes down to. But if you're going to keep Bron and AD, then act like you're serious about keeping them and give them what it is that they would need in order to compete. You know what I'm saying? It's either or. For me, it's not a hard decision. I got Bron and AD on my team. They want the coach gone. He's fired last week. I got rid of him already. You know what I'm saying? If they want people moved, those players are moved. Ain't nothing like... This ain't hard. I mean, the trade deadline is going to determine how willing we are to do that. Because like I said, the market don't move just because you're tired and fed up. I think that's a misconception about what goes on when it comes to trades. Trades are made when it's right for all parties involved. And so just because you're set and ready to make a move doesn't mean the team that you're ready to make a move with is ready to do it. And because they know you're ready to do it like that, they're going to lowball you for whatever it is. Now, you could pull the trigger on a bad trade to meet the timing, but that's not what the market's best for if you're going to use it properly. So I know better. I legitimately know better when it comes to trades that does not apply, not if you're doing it right. However, when it comes to firing coaches, it ain't hard, man. It ain't hard. If my budget is $1 billion for a basketball team and I'm already paying 2 coaches, I am frustrated about that. But it's not going to be me saying, nah, I'm not going to fire this third coach. Just because that I'm so fed up of firing coaches, if it's gonna cost me my superstars. Like that don't make no sense to me. Not from where I'm sitting. So, you know, Jeanie's just got to choose. Is it gonna be these stars, or is it gonna be this coach? Because that's what it looked like right now to me. I think the stars are smart enough to know the market don't move at their demand. But when it comes to Darvin Ham, whether I believe in him or not, they're done with him, and there ain't nothing else to say about that. That seems like the end of the road for him as a Laker. Now, if you don't want to fire him right now and you'd rather fire him later, that almost feels like an ego trip. Like you at war with them stars. Like, no, I'm not going to do it when you tell me to do it. I'm going to do it when I'm ready. It's like, do it when they're ready or you're going to lose them. And like I said, if you're going to lose them, there's a way to do that properly. And that's what it really comes down to. There's a way to move on from superstars properly. And that's in the market via trade without them demanding said trade. You see what I'm saying? And this is what comes down. And if you're not ready to make that decision, nor are you ready to make this decision, and you're stuck in between 2 decisions, then like I said, you're not fit to lead the chain. You're not fit to lead the team anymore. Because a decisive leadership is going to make decisive moves without standing in a space of no man's land for too long, for which this has become. So for me, it's like, it ain't hard to move these superstars, man. I don't want to move AD or Bron, but if it comes down to me saying, okay, they're on the market, I'm gonna get calls for them all night until I pull the trigger. Everybody's gonna call me for AD and Bron. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that's not hard. What is hard is dealing with them when they demand that trade. Trying to move them under those circumstances. That's when it's hard. That's when owners end up messing up, making superstars unhappy, and then being forced to trade them. You got to know when you're getting to that point. You got to know when that's how. You got to be able to anticipate that and get out of that early. So that's what we were talking about yesterday in some of the videos I encourage y'all to check out. But like, you don't want to wait till the superstar is telling everybody he wants gone to move him. You don't get the right value for him at that point. So Jeannie's just gonna have to do what she feels she wants to do. You know what I mean? And sitting in no man's land in between two tough decisions isn't where you want to be. You gonna do something or you not. Either you're gonna fire this coach or you're gonna move on from these superstars properly. You know what I mean? That's the only way to go. It's the only way to respect this brand. Because Bron and AD can get us picks and players forever. Like, we should be, if we do this properly, we can get a lot for them, to say the least. You know, holding on to them for a win now timeline with a coach they don't believe in, just because you believe in him doesn't mean that they're going to perform for him. So your belief goes out the window. So it just becomes a situation where that's what you tell Darvin Ham when you fire him. Like, bro, I believe in you, but they don't, and I ain't about to move them, so maybe we can reconvene in a few years when they're gone. Like, that's literally what I'd tell him. Thanks for putting up with this, but it's out of my hands. Because it's either I'm moving them or I'm moving you, and I'm not willing to move them. That's all you can really say to Darvin. And maybe he doesn't appreciate that. Maybe that matters a lot, but that it can't come down to people's feelings getting hurt whether or not you make decisions that help your basketball team, man. Somebody's feelings are going to get hurt, and it's going to be these fans. And we the ones paying the money. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're gonna have us up here and Bron James walk out the door, AD demands a trade, we get half for him, and then you're going to suck for 6 years. It's going to be us that hurts. And it's going to be us calling for you to be moved and all these other different things. Fire this person, sell the team, and all these different things that are just not ever necessary if you're doing things properly and foreseeing problems and nipping them in the bud before they get bad. And so that's what I'm saying, man. People are afraid to trade LeBron James, and I don't think I see the angles for why that even makes any sense. To be honest with you, everything I'm looking at tells me I'd better trade him when I'm in trouble. I'm more afraid of that. But as far as me going forward with Darvin Ham, that's not a hard decision. He's struggled, man. He's really struggled, and I know what he's accomplished. He got you to the Western Conference Finals last year, won the in-season tournament. That's fine, but if the players have tuned him out and we are not on the path to winning anything at all, then you're betraying the timeline. That's what it really comes down to. You're betraying the timeline, and that's not harmless because people get unhappy when their time is being wasted. And that's what you have right now, superstars feeling like the time's being wasted and people dragging their feet in whatever way. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to lie to you. I do find myself frustrated with this year in, year out, feeling like we need to make trades to make this work. But I understand the timeline. I understand the understanding of what a timeline means and why it's so important to hold on to it. I get that, I think, a lot better than what it's been explained to a lot of people. So when people say, I'm sick of LeBron James forcing me to make trades every year, we got to change the team around to fit him. I mean, I understand the ire with that, but I also understand why that is something everybody should be cool with if you got Bron on your team, because every year it's win now. Every year you got a chance to make the finals, and every year you find yourself without the best pieces for whatever reason. Now, you can blame him for why those pieces are not there or what have you, but when it's time to start making moves to make your team better, that shouldn't be something people are afraid to do or hesitant to do. If the team ain't good enough, just move on with people. Somebody's feelings gonna get hurt, somebody's dreams gonna come true. You know what I'm saying? You can't find yourself hanging on to that aspect of it. And so for me, it's like, hey, yeah, every year there is some drama surrounding LeBron James as it pertains to moving on from players on his team. But usually every year you also find reasons for why that is. And it's usually very time to make moves in those situations. And I don't know why he hasn't been able to find himself a part of an organization where the GM already has those pieces in place ahead of time. But fact of the matter is, when it comes around this time of year, usually there's some stuff that needs to shave off. And I'm willing to bet if you study all 21 of these seasons or however long this has been going on, you're going to find that to be the case. Because usually I find myself saying that about Bron teams, like, God, they don't have it. And sometimes I do think it was because you lobbied to pay this guy, because you wanted this guy, because you made a trade to get this guy and he don't really fit with him. So it's a lot of stuff like that always happens around the king. And who knows the science behind that. But it's not going to be me in year 21 knowing that this is what I signed up for when he's on my team, getting frustrated about having to do what needs to be done. No. If something needs to be done, it needs to be done. Now, could you turn to him and say, why can't you win with anybody? I mean, if you want to, but it ain't going to help you win. You know what I'm saying? Like, why couldn't you drag $47 million worth of Russell Westbrook? Because Russell Westbrook could barely play for this team. He was having issues with that, like mentally. Why couldn't you drag Wade when he was done in Cleveland and Isaiah Thomas and all these? Because the pieces didn't fit and they should have never been there in the first place. Like, there's answers for that, man. Why couldn't you drag Wade when he was hurt in Miami? Because Wade was hurt. They didn't really have much else. You know, and then Bosh was always hurt. So it's like there's always reasons for why certain things needed to be done around LeBron James. And it wasn't like he was just moving people just to be moving them in most cases. It wasn't. But if you move those pieces, you can get you to the finals. So that's what you're signing up for. And so I think it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to get to the finals but one time with him on our team and everybody else gets to the finals every year. But I think a good portion of the reason why that is because he's always being coached by somebody who ain't that great at what they do. And that's what's frustrated me about being a Laker fan for the past 20 years. The exception of the years we had Phil Jackson, we always had somebody in place that I thought wasn't that great of a coach. And so that's been our biggest problem. I think if he would have had a Spoelstra in place, he'd be in the finals every year. You know what I mean? But we never had. If he would have had his coach with Ty Lue, he'd probably already be in the finals every year. But you never actually give him that good coach. And this is the first organization where he's constantly being coached by somebody who ain't that. So I think that's a big part of it. So that's really my point of view, man. Bron AD out against the Celtics on the road, man. Definitely not what you were hoping to see when you saw this on the schedule. But, you know, I would tell you this. I think the schedule makers need to study stuff like this because clearly it's right before the trade deadline. You put this big important game, you put Rivals Week right before the trade deadline. Now you understand it. They got a lot of reasons why players may not even play that week. You know what I mean? You may want to put Rivals Week at an entirely different point in the schedule because putting it right before the trade deadline, you may end up running into this right here. So that's what I got to say, man. That's what I got to say. Not looking forward to this basketball game tonight. I don't think we have a chance in hell to win this game. I think it's going to be a cooking fest. Boston is healthy and we're missing both our stars. So we're just going out there for slaughter. And it's nothing more humiliating to get slaughtered than to get slaughtered by your most vicious rival. And I think the players who are sitting know that. And that is exactly why they're doing it. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching.